Good morning, everyone. I am Amita. Today I am going to discuss important poetic devices and forms. Poetic devices are the essential tools which are used by a poet to create rhythm or intensify a mood or feeling in a poetry. Students, here I have taken some devices, poetic devices, which are very important from the examination point of view. First of all, I am taking sonnet, which is very important. Students, what do you mean by a sonnet? Here, a sonnet is a lyrical poem made up of 14 lines. The term sonnet is derived from the word soneto, right? It is taken from the word soneto, which means a little sound or song. Sonnet, it can be divided into the two parts. First one is the Italian sonnets, and this Italian sonnets can also be called the Petrarchan sonnet. Petrarch was the name of the poet, that is why this is known as the Petrarchan sonnet. What do you mean by Petrarchan sonnet? Let's see. Petrarchan sonnets, it can be divided into the two parts, right? An octave, that is the first 8 lines, and having a rhyme scheme A B B A B B A, C D C C D C. These 8 lines, these first 8 lines are known as the octave, and another 6 lines are known as the sestet, right? This is the Italian sonnet, and it can be also called the Petrarchan sonnet, right? The Petrarchan sonnet was almost concerned with courtly love and or written with the praise of love and beauty, right? Now, the English or Shakespearean sonnet. Let's see that what is the meaning of Shakespearean sonnet or the English sonnet. It differs. First of all, it differs from the Petrarchan sonnet, and it is made up of three quatrains, that is the 4-line stanza. Quatrain means the 4-line stanza ending with a couplet. Its rhyme scheme is A B B sorry A B A B C D C D E F E F G G. These last 2 lines are known as the couplet. It is usually written in the iambic pentameter form, right? It is often used in the iambic pentameter form. Now let's see the another poetic devices. Another poetic device is the ode, which is very important, right? A long lyric poem with a serious subject matter is known as an ode. It can be private or public. The private odes are meditative, while public odes are serious in nature. It can be used for the ceremonial occasions like funerals and birthdays, etc. I have here I have some examples for this term. For example, I have Keats' ode to a nightingale, and another one is the ode on a Grecian urn. Here we can also divided odes into the three types of the varieties. The first variety is the Pindaric ode, another one is the irregular odes, and third variety is the Horatian odes. Let's see that what are the Pindaric ode, irregular odes, or the Horatian odes, right? Pindaric odes. First of all, let's see that what is the Pindaric odes. Pindaric odes. It was established by the Greek poet Pindar. It was introduced in English literature by Ben Jonson, right? Now, why it is known as the Pindaric ode? Because it was established by the Greek poet Pindar. That is why this is known as the Pindaric ode. But in England, it was introduced by Ben Jonson. You know very well that who was Ben Jonson. It has a set structure having the strophe and antistrophe. I have some examples for this. For example, Ode on the Intimations of Immortality, which is written by William Wordsworth, who was the famous romantic poet, is the best example of the Pindaric odes. Now, what is the irregular odes? Irregular odes, it has no recurrent stanza and introduced by Abraham Colley in 1650. Why this is known as the irregular odes? Because it has not any kind of because it has no recurrent stanza. That is why this is known as the irregular ode. And it was introduced in England by Abraham Colley in 1650s. And Keats' Ode on a Grecian Urn is the best example for the irregular odes, right? So this is the irregular ode. Now the Horatian ode. Why this is known as the Horatian ode, and what is the Horatian ode? Let's see. It was modeled on the odes of Roman writer Horace. Horace is the name of the Roman writer. That is why this is known as the Pindaric. That is why this is known as the Horatian odes. It is written in a single repeated stanza form. It is shorter than the Pindaric odes. What is the difference? If there is a question that what is the difference between the Pindaric ode and the Horatian ode? This is the major difference between both. That Pindaric ode, Pindaric ode was introduced by the Greek poet Pindar, and it was introduced by the Roman writer Horace. That is why this is known as the Horatian ode. And these odes, these Horatian odes, are shorter than the Pindaric ode. It means that these are the long odes and these are the short ode. And it is if we compare both of them, then we will find that Horatian odes are shorter than the Pindaric odes. And moreover, these are calm and meditative in nature, right? And Keats' ode to autumn is the best example for the Pindaric odes. Now another poetic device is elegy. Let's see that what is the meaning of elegy, right? It is actually first of all, I want to tell you that elegy is basically the melancholy in its tone, or in other words, we can say that the poem of lamentation is known as the elegy. It laments the death of a public personage or a friend or a loved one, right? For example, Milton's Lycidas or Arnold's Terraces are the notable example for elegy, right? So it is not very difficult to explain, that it is very easy. It is very easy, easiest poetic form, that Song of Lamentation or the Poem of Lamentation is known as the elegy, right? Now another one is lyric. What do you mean by lyric? Let's see. A short musical poem which deals with a single emotion, right, is known as lyric. There are some qualities of the lyric which I have noted or penned down. First one is, it is a well knit poem. It is subjective and intensely personal poem. Personal poem is known as the lyric actually, and not often longer than 50 or 60 lines, which expresses the feeling and thoughts of a single speaker in a personal and subjective manner, right? It is uttered in the first person. First of all, it is uttered in the first person. Now it is also very easy one. And another poetic form is the dramatic monologue. What do you mean by dramatic monologue? You know very well that who is famous for the dramatic monologue. It was Robert Browning who perfected the dramatic monologue. In other words, we can say that it is a genre which was perfected by Robert Browning, right? Self-revelation is the hallmark of it. Dramatic monologue. Mono means single, or log means mono means single, and log means dialogue. single dialogue, you can say that dramatic monologue is a kind of lyric poem in which there is a single speaker who is not the poet. The utterance of his speech makes up the whole poem. For example, My Last Duchess by Robert Browning is the best example for dramatic monologue, right? Now, another one, another uh, poetic forms are, first one, another easiest, I should say that the easiest poetic forms is the simile and metaphor. You should be very clear about that, what is the difference between simile and metaphors, because in both of these cases we can say that the comparison between two uncomparable things by using the adverb as or like to link an object or thing with another is known as simile. For example, Mohan walks slowly like a snail. We are his comparing him with a snail. That is why if we are using as or like for comparing things or some object, some person, then this is known as the simile. If we are using, if we can in the case of metaphor, we find that comparison between two uncomparable things without using as or like, right, is known as the metaphor. Or in other words, we can say that the difference between simile and metaphor is that in metaphor, adverbs like kind as are not used to make the link clear. These are not, means these adverbs are not used in the case of metaphor. However, in the case of simile, we use as or like, right, for comparison. These are both aspects of the figurative language in describing an object or thing or an idea, right? Another one is the personification. What is the meaning of personification? It is a poetic device where human qualities are attributed to inanimate or non-human beings. For example, autumn season is personified as a woman in Keats' Ode to Autumn, right? Means if we compare inhuman or in non-human beings or inanimate things like that, that they have the human qualities, then this is known as the personification. Hyperbole, it is the figure of speech conveying exaggeration of experience, right? For example, I am so hungry that I could eat an elephant, right? Or another example is that when you meet a friend after a long time, we often say that we have not met in ages. These are the examples of hyperbole, right? I hope this video will help a lot to understand this concept. Thanks for watching.